Plenty to chat about on this week's ep. We've got some cricket scores in the NRL. We talk about all those lemons that inbox players on social media. And Bernard calls out an influencer. It's not Olan Tekers. Enjoy. Welcome back, sports fans, to another episode of the B Team podcast. Bernard, we've nearly been doing this about 6 months.
Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we will keep going until the wheels fall off, because sports it's always changing every week. There's always a scandal every week. There's always something, whether it's rugby league, AFL, UFC. We are covering it. It's going to be another big episode. What are we going to store today, mate?
It's the gift that keeps on giving. And, Bernard, what we decided to do a couple of weeks ago, it wasn't a mistake when we posted in parts.
Mm-hmm.
So when you guys open up Spotify, it's going to say part 1. What we decided to do, we're going to give you 3 days of the B Team. So how good is that, Bernard?
Yeah.
You know, instead of just giving it all in one, we're going to break it up into 3 parts. This is part 1.
It's nice.
It's nice.
It's easy to digest. Everyone's attention span these days, it's so small. TikTok,
mine doesn't last more than 5 minutes.
You're scrolling through. We'll give you some nice bite-sized material.
Perfect.
And you just eat it up.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, however you listen to us, in the shower, on the way to work, on your smoko, under the desk, you're getting the B Team. And as you said, Bernard, sport is the gift that keeps on giving. But you, my friend, are the gift that keeps on giving.
Why is that?
Because you're making waves. In the influencer community.
I'd like to say so.
I'd like to say, well, you are the people's premier. Jordan Simi. For those of you who don't know who he is, YKTR, he had a fight against Justin Hodges.
Yeah.
Pretty laughable. And
The fight?
The fight.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking for an opponent, and this is what he said.
Oh, the Lebanese guy? No, I don't think
He wouldn't be that big, bro.
No, he's big. He's big, but I
Again,
don't.
legal
Maybe
move.
I don't know. He might fight me. I don't know. Who knows?
Okay, so he's called you big, so he's giving you a compliment.
Yeah, is
That
he
Lebanese
talking in
guy.
terms of following or stature?
Well, I'm going to say he's talking about size.
Okay.
What do you reckon, Bernard?
No.
You versus Jordan Simi. Any chance of that happening? Be a big fight.
I don't know. I think I'd be giving away a bit too much height. He's got a lot of, reach. And I actually give him a bit of raps for jumping in against Hodges on short notice. But, I don't know. I never say never. I wouldn't mind doing it if the opportunity's there.
Look, he'd probably punch the shit out of me. But I'm not going to lie. I was not impressed by him versus Hodges. I've seen you hit the bags. I've seen you in the gym. I reckon you'd give him a hard time.
Hey, it could be in the works. I mean, I wouldn't consider myself an influencer. I know he's out there, wants to be an influencer. He's going out with an influencer. He just rekindled his relationship, I believe. That's what he was fighting for. But I don't know. Never say. Maybe you go up against his co-host. What's his name?
Jacko.
Maybe you go up
Done.
against his co-host.
Okay, well, there you go.
B Team V.
B Team v YKTR.
Yeah.
Or Grouse and a Few Reds is the name of their podcast.
Yeah.
Bang, you heard it here first. The challenge is out there, boys. Alrighty, Bernard. Back by popular demand.
Yes.
Great segment. We're going to give it to the fans straight away. It's your rumour roundup.
Yeah, there's been a few
Give it to me, my friend.
rumours circulating the rugby league community. This one's a pretty big one. They're saying that Latrell Mitchell and Cody Walker have halted re-signing new deals with the South Sydney Rabbitohs because Wayne Bennett is pursuing them really hard and will offer them a big contract come November.
At the Dolphins.
At the Redcliffe Dolphins. So if you're Latrell and Cody Walker, do you just say, look, I've enjoyed my time here at South. Let's go try and build a foundation here in Redcliffe with Wayne. And if anyone's going to get them over, it's Wayne Bennett.
Great. And look, if I'm Cody Walker, I'm trying to bring Trell with me wherever I go, even if he has to take a bit of a pay cut, because we know that when Trell is there, Cody.
If Souths lose both of those players, and I don't think it would be for next season, probably be for the following season, but are Souths finished?
Yeah, they would be. But I can't see Latrell leaving South.
I don't know.
He's a perfect fit for that club.
100%.
Everything about them, they've had a history of they're proud having Indigenous players come through that club. They've built their team around Latrell. I can't see him.
They've
going
invested a lot into his hamstring.
They've sent him to America.
I don't know. I don't see him leaving.
I can't.
I think
And Cody is not.
the Dolphins are just trying to throw money at
They
anyone
need
and
some-
anything
they
that
need
has.
someone. Last week you dropped Money Munster.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm Wayne Bennett, I'm going after money.
Yeah, I think
I'm giving him-
2024. Apparently, he's very
You know
close to
what?
signing, and NASA's getting that over the line as
You
soon
know
as
what?
possible.
I'm breaking the record. If I'm the Dolphins, I'm making him the highest paid player.
1.5.
Is it 1.4?
1.5.
Is 1.4 the?
I think 1.3, 1.4.
Give him 1.5.
Yeah.
Give him 1.5.
I could see it happening, and he's stupid not to
'Cause
take
what,
it. He's won his
28?
comps.
He's
Yeah.
28, so he's still going to give you at least 4 good years.
Get your money, return to Queensland.
Come
but
back to Queensland,
this
link
is
up with Wayne.
another big one that's come out of the rumour roundup is that Newcastle's Kalen Ponga is open to playing 5'8" next year. He's already gotten back to training. Yes, he's just been through a couple of scandals, and he could be making way for Ruben Garrick to come to Newcastle and play that fullback position. We've seen Ruben play fullback. He goes okay, Ruben.
He does.
He's slotted in okay for Tommy Turbo.
He's good, and he's a good ball player as well, like deceptively
He can
good.
sum
He
up
can.
situations. So I think that's not a bad move for Ruben Garrick's career.
It'd be a great
Because
move for
it
Ruben.
shows him he's just not a winger. He can go out on his own, solo.
Probably wants fullback money.
Yeah, that's another great
The
point.
only thing I like the idea of Kalen getting his hands on the ball more. We've seen it for Queensland. Great ball player. My only concern though, Bernard, is his defense.
Defense in the line.
He's defensively as a fullback. He's not.
Ruben's defense?
No, Kalen's
Kalen
defense.
Ponga's
He's-
defense.
Go look it up. He's one of. I'm not saying he's a bad defender,
Mm.
but he's not a James Tedesco. James Tedesco, you see throw his body in the line. Kalen loves the old acrobatic.
Well, I think
dive.
that's why you'd prefer being a fullback as opposed to a 6.
I think so.
When you're a 5'8", you got to make decisions with your second rower, who's coming in, inside shoulder. Kalen
Teams
Ponga.
could start
they'll
targeting.
start targeting you.
Viliami kick out. All of a sudden, he's going to be running at him 5 to 10
Bad
times a game.
matchups. Whereas when you're at fullback, make some one-on-one, try-saving tackles. Yes, you got to cover
And
a lot of
of the
ground.
time, you're not expected to do anything. Like they run straight through 2-on-1.
But he could follow the footsteps of Darren Lockyer
Yeah,
and becoming one of the great fullbacks that turned into a even better 5'8". And we saw him with the ball in hand a lot for Queensland, and he was great to watch. And a lot of people give him bad rap for being overrated at Newcastle. Maybe putting him at 5'8" and having a fullback with him.
You said it so well. People need to make up their mind. Like, do you think he's overrated or do you think he's great? Because whenever he plays for Queensland, he's great. But whenever he plays for Newcastle, he looks. Maybe they need. I like the idea of moving into 6. Maybe it's time to bring in another coach.
There's another rumour that's been rolling around.
I like this,
Again,
I like this.
Newcastle Knights. Tyson Gamble's asked for immediate release from the Brisbane Broncos. Wants to park up at the Knights.
I don't know where he'd play. Because Ponga would
If
play
Ponga's
6.
going to be at 6, but Milford's
Milford's
gone.
leaving.
7-6. Clifford's not very happy with his position at
You know
Newcastle.
who Gamble reminds me of? Reminds me a bit of Lockie Lewis.
Yeah,
He's not the most technically gifted, but he'll just have a crack, and he's a meathead.
terrible
mullet.
head on him, though.
Got a
Shocking
head for radio.
Yeah,
Head
but
like a beaten favourite.
because, he was looking good at Brisbane. And then, Ezra Mann's come onto the
Ezra's
scene
a beast.
and really owned that six spot with Adam Reynolds. So, I don't know. Tyson Gamble, I think he's a first-grade caliber player. There's not a lot of quality 7-6ers in the game.
And we haven't seen him have a proper crack. As you said, he didn't really do much wrong for Brisbane. They were winning when he was there.
Yeah,
So
so-
give him a crack.
I guess we'll see. And now there's been whispers. Now, I know we're going to touch on the absolute beltings there's been in rugby league and the discrepancies in scores from every team. But the resurgence of a national reserve grade comp. Now, that is not just a Queensland Cup and a New South Wales Cup.
So everyone.
Every team has a reserve grade. And that would probably entice fans to come to the games beforehand, scout your reserve grade
Yep.
players, who deserves to be coming up. It worked for years.
They
for
do it in
rugby
other
league. My
sports.
old man was a not the best first grader, great reserve
Great
grade.
reserve game. Hey, it's a good
There-
career.
We miss out on the reserve grade players. Not too many people are tuning into New South Wales Cup, Queensland Cup. I don't know. I feel like a lot more people would be tuning into
It's-
reserve grade.
I like New South Wales Cup. Like, good players there. It's too disconnected, though. Manly, they think Blacktown.
Blacktown workers.
So no Manly fans going to Blacktown.
Yeah.
The Roosters have had the Bears, the Jets, Wyong. I like the idea of marrying them up and then making a day of it. You remember you used to go, 20s would be on. You'd catch the second half of the 20s game, or if it was a big game, you'd catch the... I like that kind of build up the atmosphere. Now, fields are getting better, so they can hopefully take a beating as well, if
I
they're
think
worried
it'd be a
about that.
welcome chat. Like, they need to do something in terms of pathways. I know we'll touch on it, but like it's getting to the point where, no one's watching 20s anymore. No one's watching the lower
Well,
grades. Less kids are
no
playing.
one knows what's going on with 20s. Like, it's
Yeah.
Jersey... It's Jersey Flag now.
Yeah.
What's
I think
going on with
there's
it?
a 23s, maybe
It's the-
possibly.
which is a good idea, but
Yeah.
I like the idea of, as you said, you have the Roosters reserve grade. If you're going to make it 23s, Sydney Roosters. Don't worry about these North Sydney Bears and Wyong and Blacktown. Just have it first
Keep
and
it within
second.
the club.
So you
keep
can
it
get
within the
players
club.
like your old man.
Yeah, exactly
Reserve
right.
grade great. That was a great rumour roundup, Bernard.
Yeah,
I love that one.
Appreciate that, mate.
Couple big stories in the fighting world.
Mm.
Boxing. Anthony Joshua was fighting Usyk again.
Yes.
Joshua, he fought better. Wasn't good enough, though. Takes the loss. Again, split decision. I didn't think it was that close. I thought Usyk outboxed him again. But Bernard,
The breakdown.
Yeah,
it was tough
the
to
dummy
watch.
spit. You wanted to change the channel. I was getting secondhand embarrassment. He made an absolute tit out of himself.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was like post-concussion, and he's
Maybe.
just kind of going out on a tangent. But, I mean, you got to feel for him as well, though, because you got to think he's put everything into trying to... It's his biggest
second.
fight.
It was
you know what I
his
mean?
legacy almost felt like it was on the line.
He wanted to come out, show that he had more put in than the last fight, wanted to get the win, didn't get the result, and you're going to be shattered. He was crying in the post-match press conference. And then you had Eddie Hearn going at Tyson Fury, who was saying he'd beat both of these guys and saying, look at the mental state of Joshua now and how he can't comment on that. But at the end of the day, it's still a competitive sport. When you're going at it, you got to be willing to cop the highs and lows. Anthony Joshua's been at the top.
Yep.
And, and we're kind of seeing him dwindle
Do you
as a
think
heavyweight boxer.
He's just maybe slightly overrated? Because he was hyped. I mean, he won the gold medal. He was...
I think he got found out after his first initial loss.
Yeah, when he lost.
And then always ducking Fury in the big fights.
And you've said it before as well. The problem with boxing is they never fight each other. Even Deontay Wilder got bashed 3 times when he fought Fury. But I respect
I only
him.
say that because the Tyson Fury Joshua fight now has no appeal
even
to it
Fury
as
said
it used
Yeah.
to. Now, if we could see a Usyk versus Fury, that'd be
Hopefully.
a
Or
fight.
even
I'd like to
Usyk
see.
versus Deontay Wilder. I respect Wilder. At least he got in there with Fury.
Yeah.
And it's a he said, she said, as it always is with boxing. But I feel like these contenders, they just, like someone like Joshua, they toss around the same, like Derek Chisora, Joseph Parker, Dillian White, like a Steeden. Like they all just throw the same guy and they never fight each other.
Yeah, it's very true. I know. Parker's looking like he's going to be bursting onto the scene fairly imminently.
They just need to fight each other.
Yeah, everyone needs to. That's why they need a UFC.
Hey,
fight.
but, well,
they need a kind of a
speaking
promotion.
of the UFC, Bernard, Leon Edwards. His nickname is Rocky, and it was Rocky-esque.
That was a top finish to a fight. I thought the bloke was down and out. He was finished.
He looked finished.
Yeah, you could see it on his
You
face.
could
I
honestly-
didn't even think he backed himself.
You've watched the Rocky movies?
Yeah.
You could hear
Multiple times.
the Rocky dun.
Yeah.
It started.
I've seen the TikToks that start playing it in the back. It's,
And his trainers as well. They deserve a shout out. His head trainer was brilliant, man. Trying to G him up. Leon looked done. Leon just said, he had a great first round. Took down Usman, who's a wrestler. We've never seen that happen before.
but it was the last round. He knew he needed to lay it out all on the line, and he was just waiting for it. You could see, it was like, is he going to throw something? Is he going to throw anything? Because it looked like he was just waiting for the fight to finish, and then bang, shin to the head.
Oh,
that was brutal.
Slept him.
And you could see Usman just looking up at the lights. His eyes weren't blinking. He looked like he was struggling.
Yeah, he was sleeping.
But there was, I don't know if you saw the post-match press conference with Dana White. Usman must have been in the ambulance or on his way to the hospital. He may have already been lying down in a hospital bed. Called Dana White and said, "This happens to champions. Champions sometimes fall or make mistakes.
Fair enough.
I want to go again." And I think, look, Usman was by far the better fighter throughout the whole fight. He won the majority of rounds, and he just slipped up one time, and that's all it takes in UFC and in boxing. So that he'll get a rematch, and I think Usman goes over pretty comfortably.
I think Usman will destroy him in the rematch, but in their third fight, because they fought twice. But Leon's the champ, and no one can take that away
No,
from
you
him.
can't take it away from him. It's a beautiful story. He was on FaceTime with his mum right after. He
love
was
that.
bawling his eyes
It was
out.
a
How
great
can you not
story.
love it?
Leon Edwards is the welterweight champion of the world, and no one can take that away from him, Bernard. That's why we love combat sports in general. Moving over to the NRL,
Mm-hmm.
it was a weird week. Bernard, it was giving me 2021 vibes.
It was just tough to watch.
Shellackings all over the place. It felt like last year's comp, and I wasn't a fan of last year's comp. Bernard, I'm going to excuse the Brisbane Broncos. I'm going to just say Melbourne Storm had a day out, and maybe they watched my TikTok where I put the pencil through them, because they are looking really, really good.
They're
I'm
firing it right at the right time. But, it gives me like Craig Bellamy came out initially when they were getting bashed 3-4 weeks on the trot. And he said, I don't know if we can come back from this. I don't know if we can come back. Do you think that's just a ploy from a
Do you
coach?
reckon he was doing a bit of a
just
Jose Mourinho, the mind games?
playing the media and
think he
just
was.
saying, just managing expectations? Is that Craig Bellamy?
I think so.
Because just that Melbourne team on paper, when you look at
Because-
their pack,
yeah.
even just having Munster in there and Jerome Hughes firing, they could always turn it around. And I don't know why anyone even thought to write them off. Yes, they had a few weeks, but you have to think they've been injury-ridden. They've had players that have been suspended, in and out of the side, chopping and changing. Their outside backs have been changing a lot. Now it seems like they're getting into a rhythm. Addition of Nofaluma in there has been great because now they've built Meany at one, and they've built some a solid spine with Pappenhausen being out. So I think they're firing at the right time, and they're going to be a handful for a full strength Penrith and teams like Parramatta,
Yeah.
and the Cowboys. I
Well,
believe.
they made idiots like me eat our words.
Mhm.
But you know what impressed me more? Like, that win was ridiculous. But the win against Penrith impressed me even more because they just showed, like,
They aimed up.
we're Melbourne. We grind results out. And come finals, those are going to be the type of games you're going to play in.
It was actually Cooper Johns came out and said that the difference is they play a grind version of footy, Penrith, even at full strength. They just try and grind you, make errors, and the way that they're going to win it, and this probably comes down to the grand final or major semi, is just up front in the forwards.
Yeah.
Which forward pack's going to lead the team to victory for the backs to play off? That's what it's going to come.
And
down
then
to.
it's a money Munster moment of brilliance. Harry Grant. They've still got the cheese.
But you're right. I mean, bashings across the board
Oh,
in the NRL. It wasn't just Brisbane. It was
everywhere. The Dogs.
the Bulldogs getting belted.
72-6, the Tigers. It was really bad, Bernard, and it made me think, is this a one-off, or is this further proof that there's not enough quality for 16 teams, and we're about to go to 17?
100% we don't have enough quality. There's way too much discrepancy between
The top and the bottom.
the top and the bottom, and everyone's been saying it all season. Teams like the Roosters, Penrith, Melbourne, and it seems to be everyone else, because you could also see teams like the Cowboys and Brisbane who don't have the strongest teams on paper losing by big margins. Sometimes they have good showings. I mean, Brisbane kind of just got found out
Yeah.
as, you're not anywhere near the top two, 3 teams. So for a team like the Dolphins to come in and then also wanting to expand even further, where are you going to get quality players from? Where are you
Just-
going to get quality halves and forwards that are playing the game that you can even up the talent? How are you going to evenly disperse talent across the NRL? You can't do it, and you're gonna be going through more 70 to 2-6 beltings. Look at the scorelines
Sure.
in England. Did you see
The 100.
Blake Ferguson's team? I've never seen a rugby league team reach 100. I've seen it in rugby union. We know what we think of that sport, but 100 in rugby league, that is disgusting. For a
How
first
do you
grade
score
team,
100 points? Is that in an 80-minute game?
I think once you reach 70 points, just call the game off. Because
Mercy rule.
no, seriously, because you're risking player injury. Like it got to a point where the Tigers players just didn't want to be out
I don't
there.
blame James Timeout for that spray. I wouldn't want to be there either.
Nah, and I just feel sorry for him because that might be his
Last
last
game.
His last game.
I
But
know.
I mean, that's a terrible way to go out, and you feel sorry for the big guy.
72-6.
Yeah, I think the bashings are indicative of a poor competition, and it's on the NRL front office to start trying to evenly disperse the talent. The AFL do it in the form of a draft, and yes, you see the top teams in the AFL always kind of being consistent, but you also see some bottom teams starting
Yeah.
to surge
But
up
they've
the
got-
ladder
They've
over
got
the
such
years.
a pool of talent to. They've got Western Australia,
And there's a lot of players
all of
in
South
AFL.
Australia, Victoria. Like they grab players from the whole country. Let's be honest, we grab the players mostly from the east. New South Wales and Queensland, majority of them come from. New Zealand, we're not getting as many players like we used to. Maybe that's because the Warriors aren't as competitive as they used to be. Like if the Warriors were winning, maybe you'd see more.
I think it comes down to, honestly, less people playing the game
I think so.
at
honestly,
grassroots.
yeah. It's
Too
as simple
many
as that.
kids playing Fortnite on your streams, scrolling through TikTok. I mean, when I grew up, all I want to do is play footy on the weekend.
Yeah.
From 7 years
Even
old
when you weren't playing
all
footy,
the
you were
way to
playing
19.
footy.
All you wanted to do was just train, play footy on the weekend.
Play
You were
touch
nervous about
footy
the game
on
on
the
the
street.
weekend. My youngest brother nowadays
Nah,
just wants to go out, wants to go Argyle, wants to go Ivy. Just wants to,
Yeah.
let the boys play.
Well, that's excusable when you're 18, 19. Let the
18,
boys-
19, 100%. But even just growing up, it was just like things are different. They just want to be on PlayStation. They want to be doing different things. They want to be watching what's next on Netflix. They want to be scrolling through social media, getting invited to whatever. It's just like there's not enough people playing the game. I
No.
think it's not going to come full circle until maybe we start putting our kids through junior sports, and then you'll see an uptick in in junior participation because there's not enough people playing in grassroots, and maybe you could say there's parents that think there's a safety concern or whatever it be. But then because of that, there's not enough people progressing through development pathways. And that's showing. There's not enough quality sevens. There's not enough quality players getting passed through different teams.
And I think we're also getting a bit too PC as like now for, when they always talk about that, there'll be some photo of this kid. It always happens. You get one every year of an 8-year-old that looks 15 playing in under 8s, and then they'll be like, oh, we need to do it by weight, and this is unsafe, and that turns people off. So you're right. It's like we can't get kids to play. Then we have this image problem where like this game is extremely unsafe, and you can't get kids playing the game anymore, and they want to start overcomplicating it and putting 8-year-olds, do it by weight and all this rubbish. Like,
if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, how it was when our parents played.
There's always been big kids, Bernard.
Exactly right, and it's a lesson for kids
around the legs. You tackle him around.
They can't run without their legs, boys.
Without their legs.
But don't hip drop, kids. Don't hip drop tackle.
No, we don't want that.
But no, I think sport is the best way to teach kids discipline for one. And also resilience. There's no more resilience anymore. Oh, this kid's too big. Put him in a weight class above us.
You lost, or you came forward. He's a participation medal. We're not going to have grand finals anymore. No winners and losers.
No, and I'm telling you, it will come full circle, but not anytime soon. I think it's when probably our generation starts having kids and starts pushing grassroots even further.
And this is coming from someone that used to lose at everything. Losing is good, okay? There's no such thing as everybody's a winner. This is another issue, Bernard, it seems to be becoming more and more prevalent, and it cooks me. Couple players were on the receiving end of it. It's fans abusing players.
Yep.
Obviously, it's impossible to police on stuff like comments on a post. Like, it happens in every sport club all around the world. Your team loses, you'll get someone go, this player's rubbish, blah, blah, blah. But fans that message players because they lost a multi, or they stuffed up their super coach. Or, for example, Jackson Paulo. I know a kid who's a South fan, and he posted a story of Jackson Paulo ripping into him saying, oh, this guy's shit, and he tagged him. If you do that stuff, honestly, you are a fucking idiot. It's as simple as that.
It's pretty low. I mean, at the end of the day, the players are human beings as well. And I'm sure people know when they've had a bad game or when they've stuffed up for their team.
Do.
But at the end of the day, too, I'll play devil's advocate. The players know the arena that they're stepping in. And it's death threats, all that, that's unnecessary, 100%. But it comes with the territory of being a first grader. And if you have social media, you can also turn it off. You can shut it out. There was a lot of players that came out in support of Paulo and saying, we stand with him. This is disgraceful. And 100%. People storing, tagging him, lost your multi. No one cares about your multi. But it's more so... The players copping it enough, and everyone's big on mental health nowadays, and you're kind of just kicking a player while he's down. But I think as a player, you got to be willing to cop the comments, like you said, the ones that you're going to get
for sure
from diehard supporters, people at the ground, members are paying tickets to.
That's fine.
Paying their membership,
of course, and they're entitled
to give their
an
opinion.
Yep.
Boo a player if they don't like how
That's
he's performing. People in Brisbane were booing Payne Haas with how. They thought he was going to exit Brisbane, or they weren't very happy at Parramatta with Brad Arthur's son.
Yeah,
you can't be policing a fan base on how they feel about their club. But in saying that, there's a line. Don't go overboard, particularly on social media. I don't think we should be instituting things that people have called upon, like we need a social identity on social media, and everyone needs 10 points of ID to have an account on everything. Let's not take it too far. I think players have to acknowledge that it comes with the arena, being in the arena, and you're going to have to cop criticism for bad performances. But then there's also, when it comes to death threats and, threats, anything is of that nature, there needs to be a line in the sand, and maybe authorities get involved. But players need to smarten up and say, look, I'll own it, bad game, and if it's getting too heavy, turn off social media.
I agree with you.
Brad Fittler came out and said, that's a big thing. If it's getting to you that much, you have the ability to turn off your socials.
But you know what? The problem is with these old heads like Fittler and stuff is they weren't around during this time. So it's easy for them to just go, maybe just switch it off. That's not going to happen. You and I Jackson Paulo, I'm assuming he's younger than us. They've grown up with it. From 11, you've been on Facebook. Then it was Instagram. So it's just, of course, Brad Fittler, there was no social media back then.
Yeah.
So it's just switch off, mate. It's easy.
Imagine there was though. Jeez,
Exactly. So of course, there's certain stuff that comes with it, like newspaper articles, comments and stuff. But I think if you call yourself a fan and you're inboxing someone because you lost your multi, well, there's a simple solution for that. Just don't bet.
Exactly
Or,
right.
keep your abuse for yelling at them on the TV. We've all done that before. But what's it going to take, man? Because it will happen, knock on wood, is that something really bad will happen.
Yeah,
Because,
it's a good point.
you're pissed off as a fan. You message him, oh, you're a spastic. You
But
cost me my game.
mean, it's rocking a hard place for the NRL because how much gambling sponsorship is in the game.
Yeah, for sure.
For one. And secondly, Australia as a whole is one of the highest per capita gambling countries in the world. So it's prevalent everywhere. You're always going to get it. It's just about drawing a line where this is a line, this is too far. And I think that comes when it's death threats and threats
sure,
towards the players. But if it's comments and people actually displeased with player performances, and that's just a fan voicing their opinion in a public
For sure, if
arena.
it's a forum or comments,
You know
and
what I
stuff like
mean?
that. Nah, I think we're both on agreement on that. It's time, Bernard, for the starters. We've been tossing around a few names all season. This guy's the best. That guy's the best. I reckon I've called about 3 different people the best player in the game. So it's time to just settle this, Bernard.
Going into the finals.
Going into the finals now. We're at the business end. The pretenders are gone. It's all about the contenders. Let's bring back our top 5. The starters is back for another week. Top 5 best players in the NRL at the moment. Kick it off with number 5, Bernard.
Number 5 has to be the man who's currently leading Dally M, Ben Hunt. He has been Dragons' best player, can pull a 40-20 out of his ass. He's actually redeemed himself as a player since Brisbane. He had a great Origin series. He's been one of the best halves in the comp. He's number 5 for me.
Put some respect on Ben Hunt's name. And I'll tell you another player you can put respect on his name. Trell Mitt. That is it.
Yeah. 100%.
He's not number 1 on our list, but I tell you what, he's the most influential player for any team in the comp. And what I mean by that is when he's not in that team, Souths look like a wooden spoon contender. When he's in there, they look like a premiership contender. Trell Mitt, he's the most unique player. No one else plays like him. He's unstoppable when he's on. He's number 4.
100% agree with that. Number 3 for me, Nathan Cleary. He's been off.
He has been a little
He
bit.
has been off lately with the, obviously, spear tackle, but I think one of the most consistent 7s in the comp. Highest paid Penrith player. For me, he's just what you want every halfback to be. He's a blueprint of a young half coming up, and is proven to be the best 7. Will probably be an Australian 7 this year. New South Wales Origin 7 for a reason. He is number 3 for me this year. Could have been up there,
For sure.
but just with his time off this season
Yeah.
and a little bit of, first game in Origin, I'd put him number 3.
And he had a bit of a dip post-Origin as well, even before the suspension. This guy coming in at number 2, you could go 1 or 2 of these guys, either or, it would have been good. But I'm going to go James Tedesco at number 2. Since he's come to the Roosters, he's probably been the most consistent player in the comp. And
He's always on.
Always on. Everything he does, he's super consistent. Captain of New South Wales, steering the Roosters, who look like they're peaking at the right time this year. He's just missed the consistency, and he is number 2.
Number 1, we both agree on. Cameron Munster.
What a player.
Can play anywhere in the back line. Melbourne's best player. He'll be the highest paid player in the NRL. He's due for a big
deserves
payday. He'll probably be headed to the Dolphins. But Cameron Munster, just his skill, he can make something happen from nothing. One-on-one strips, can really do anything. Kicking game, unbelievable. Can sum up anything. Again, play 1, play 6.
He's a freak.
He's the best player in the comp.
Dolphins, show him the money. I like that top 5. So to wrap it up, we had Ben Hunt, who'll probably win the Dally M at 5. Trell Mitt, Nathan Cleary, dipped a little bit. Teddy and Munster. If you had any of those guys at number 1, I wouldn't argue with you, Bernard.
No, I wouldn't argue either.
And it's
Either
going
way.
into the business end of the NRL, but it's also finals time in
Yes.
the AFL.
Cross code.
Crossco, we love the AFL.
Let's have a little finals peek.
Let's do it. Should we just rattle off the games and just say who we
couple
think?
big games. Couple big Melbourne games.
Who we think's going to win? First one, Lions versus Tigers. I think the Tigers win that one.
Yeah, I'm going to go Richmond as well.
We both agree Richmond. I think Lions, they got slapped by the Demons. I think they're a little bit of
I
pretenders.
feel like the Demons are just coming right
At the right
the right time.
They are.
I think they might be specials to take the flag.
I think so too. I think they're getting slept on a little bit. They are the defending champs. I think they beat the Swannies. Now that game's a second chance, so it won't the Swans, if they lose,
won't
get a
get
home
knocked.
final
Yeah,
the week
yeah.
after. This game is huge.
This will be a sellout.
Two massive fan bases. The Cats are taking on Collingwood, who just scraped into the top 4 with that dramatic 1-point heartbreaker for the Carlton Blues. I'm smelling upset in this one.
You're gonna go Collingwood.
I'm gonna go Collingwood.
Mate,
in
I'm a
this one.
K-Roos. K-Roos is in Melbourne. Diehard Collingwood fans. I'm talking sitting there with the no teeth mullets at Collingwood. They
Lots of
go nuts for him.
fans like
They were
that in
there
the
last
AFL.
week going nuts. And I'm good old Collingwood forever. I'm a fan. I just don't see him getting past.
Nah.
No, I can't see him getting past the Cats. It's a big game, and I just think Geelong will be too good. I think they've probably just more skilled around the park, and Collingwood have just been too inconsistent throughout the season.
They have been.
You know what I mean? It's like they can turn up for a big game, and they will have a good showing, but I think Geelong will just be too
Why
good.
it's reminding me of Collingwood in 2018 when they got to the GF. They beat the Tigers. They'll get up for this. Collingwood against another Melbourne team. I think they get it done.
I was there for that West Coast Grand Final. I mean, no one really
Yeah, I was in Melbourne too.
backed them to get that far,
Bottled that, unfortunately.
but I guess we'll see.
We'll
It's going
see.
to be a tough one. What do
Two
you got?
big fan. This one's a coin flip. Freo Dogs. Good to see Freo back in the finals, flying the flag for Western Australia because the West Coast Eagles are cucker.
Yeah.
But
Save the Eagles.
I don't know, Bernard.
It's a coin flip.
Coin flipper.
I reckon you take Freo, as we'll discuss.
Yeah, I'm going to take Freo.
I might go Western Bulldogs.
All right, so
Just see which one.
we're split on a couple.
Yeah.
They do the week off.
I think
in-
Western Bulldogs had a bit of momentum going into the
They do.
finals.
No, I like that one. Remember in the AFL they do the week off, so that's not this weekend. It's the next weekend. I don't know about the week. What do you think? Week off before the finals?
No,
I don't
like
reckon.
it. Don't like
I think that suits, and you see it in the AFL. That suits the teams that are outside the top 4.
it. Get a bit of a relaxed week.
Well, if you're, let's say hypothetically, the Demons, let's say you win, you then go into a prelim. You play one game in a month,
That's true. And
as
you're fresh
opposed
and
to
ready
the
to go.
Tigers, who are fresh. They freshen up.
Yeah, but would you rather have one game in a month, or would you be always on and you're ready to go? Could you have that complacency issue? That's a question.
Well, I'd rather
Would you rather be well refreshed? I mean, AFL, you're running kilometres.
Yeah,
It's
they're running
different.
12,
Yeah.
15 Ks.
Yeah.
They're freaks. We love the AFL, Bernard. And looking ahead now to this weekend, couple massive games. First one, Friday night footy, Storm, a rejuvenated Storm against the Chookies.
This is probably the biggest game of the Roosters season because they've got now. We'll clip this up for TikTok because it's a big one, right? Think about it. Roosters have Melbourne to get past this week, then South to get past the following week. They win both those games. They win one of these
They
games.
just need to win one.
They're in the 8. They lose both, and Canberra win their remaining last 2 games. The Roosters drop out of the 8. Now, with how the Roosters have been playing, they're a much better side than Canberra. Around the park. They're more skilled. They move the ball better.
They're a better
Their
team.
forwards are playing better. Exactly. I think they're a better coach team. But it's rugby league.
And
And you're going up against a Melbourne Storm team that is just coming right.
there's something on fire.
You're going up against a South team with a bit of momentum and Latrell firing. And you know how Latrell plays
Well,
against the Roosters. I just don't know. I think it's actually up in the air whether the Roosters can still make the 8. And you could get Canberra to make the 8 at about $7-8 right now.
you were on that last week. You're very hot on that.
I just think it's
What I
don't
will say,
sleep on it. It's big round.
If we lose this game, I'm very nervous. South, they're playing the Cowboys. We're going to talk about that game in a minute. But that game, first game at the new SFS, they've had our number recently. That game, the last game, that'll be a majority South fans. So
Who
I'm
are
worried.
you taking this week? Melbourne or the Roosters?
I'm going to go the Roosters. I think we get it done. I think Melbourne they're due for a
I
loss.
think if you look at it this way, ready? The pack pretty much aims up both ends. Matt Lodge has been awesome for the Roosters.
Matt Lodge has been awesome. Nat Butcher as well, playing his
4
best
tries
footy.
on the weekend.
4
Jeez.
tries.
I know it was the Tigers, but that's a great feat. But I'll say their pack kind of matches up.
Even.
Okay, pretty even, big pack, right? Then you look at the outside backs.
Suwali, Tupou.
Suwali up, yeah, you know what I mean? And now you've got Nofaluma out there who I think he kind of holds his own with Xavier Coates. Again, tick, right? Comes down to the spine. And really it's Jerome Hughes up against our boy Sam Walker.
That's where it'll be won and
I think
lost.
that's where the spine is where it's going to be won and lost. And I think with Tedesco is going to be massive throughout the game.
Has to be.
So Meany's going to have to step up. It's a very even contest, and I just think the way that Melbourne have been going, Roosters coming off a big win will help, but I'm going to go Melbourne.
I'm going to go the Roosters. I'm going to go the Roosters just.
It's going to be a tight
But here's
game.
the other.
I think it could be
here's the other
decided by a
storyline.
field goal or 4 points.
Everyone's talking about Roosters got to win this, make the top 8. How's this, Bernard? For another, just add a little bit of something.
Yeah.
The Storm are 4th at the moment.
Mm.
They lose this game.
Out of the 4.
No, they play Parramatta next week.
And we've seen Parramatta beat them.
Massive. So
Yeah.
they could drop out of the top 4.
Imagine Storm drop out of the top 4 out first week of the finals. Like, you wouldn't pick it. And you said last week this is a very open finals.
very
I laughed at you, but listening to that, you don't know. You actually don't
this
know.
This is what I mean. Penrith, it's Penrith's to lose. For sure it is.
Penrith
But
full strength.
Parra
yeah.
can beat them, I
Mm.
think. I think the Storm can beat anyone. They're the Storm.
The Roosters
The Roosters can beat
on their
anyone.
day.
Cowboys, Cronulla, I know they're playing really good footy, but I would almost say I'd lean more towards the Storm, Parra, and the Roosters causing an upset. Maybe getting to the GF, or if they meet before, I wouldn't be surprised if Penrith get done in a prelim.
But that's I'm saying now is that Melbourne now have something to play for, so it's not going to be a cakewalk for Roosters to just go in and
It's
win
gonna
this
be a good
game.
It's gonna be
Both
a great
teams have
game.
something to play for. Canberra's still in there with their finals on
Sniffing
the line.
around.
You know what I mean? So it's going to be an interesting weekend of footy. Probably the most look forward to weekend of footy in a long
Oh,
time.
I can't wait, Bernard.
So going to be.
and then the other big game,
Mm.
South versus Cowboys.
Yeah, I think I personally am going to go Souths. After last week, they're going to step up. Again, I'm not very sold on the Cowboys.
You
I
think
think
they're a little bit of pretenders?
a bit of Brisbane syndrome.
Really?
Bit of I don't see them in the big games aiming up against
Not
a
a fan.
Melbourne. I don't see them aiming up against a Penrith side, even a big Parramatta side. And they've beaten Parramatta convincingly previously, but I'm just saying in the big games, and I think with Souths firing, they're going to come after last week, put on a bit of a show, and if that does happen, I don't see Cowboys going far.
Don't
in the
rate
semis.
Chatty Townsend.
I do. I think he's a quality 7. I just think
Just don't rate the team.
I don't think they're a premiership winning team.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Would
yeah.
Okay.
They're on track to be.
Well, if they get top 2, that'll be big. Because it means home final, home prelim. If they go win,
So
win.
do they have the firepower of a Latrell Mitchell or the quality around the park of a
you know what?
Melbourne?
Maybe not in their halves, but Jeremiah Nanai is what, 2nd or 3rd in the top
Mm.
try scorers? He's a freak. So they have firepower in other places, wingers, and then that spine that they have is very consistent.
I'm a
Robson,
big Robson fan. Big Robson,
Man.
quality hooker.
great forward pack.
I guess we'll see. I mean, could Souths have fizzled out? I don't know.
Cronulla? Nah.
Nah, for me. I mean, they're coming home with a wet sail.
They are.
They're really flying under the radar.
I'm not. When I say pretend, it makes it sound like we're making them out to be rubbish. Like
No.
they'll make a prelim final,
Yeah.
but I don't think Cowboys or Cronulla. And we can clip this. So if I'm wrong, I'll look like an idiot. But I don't think they're winning.
And it's not that they don't have the talent. I think the talent's there. It's more just the
Maybe in the big moment.
yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know what
I
it
just
is.
think it's like you watch Penrith play, grinding team. Don't make too many errors. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
just play that grinding football. You don't see that from Cronulla. You see a lot of errors. You see some telegraphed moves. Some telegraphed block plays. It's just not. It's not how you view a premiership winning team unless
I
they
agree.
just hit their
No, I
stride.
agree.
But that's why I can see someone like Souths making a run.
Call me. You stole
You know
the
what I mean?
words out of my mouth. Call me crazy. I know they lost against Penrith. Embarrassing loss. I still think South can go on a run.
100%.
As long as they got that bad man Trell Mitt in their team, South can make a run to the GF.
Yeah, 100% agree. But like the Roosters, for me, the only reservation I have is the young 7, the Sam Walker, the Lockie Ilias.
They just need to not make mistakes.
Yeah.
Not make too
I'll
many.
tell you what, if Adam Reynolds
Ooh.
was playing...
They win a comp, I think. With
If
Reynolds in the team.
think about that. If Adam Reynolds was the 7 right now at South Sydney, they're a premiership favourite.
100%.
And
100%.
he's injury-free, and Latrell's playing how he's playing.
Think about how many injuries South have had as well. Like how many backs, like Campbell's been out for ages. How many backs they've got into that team? They've had a lot of injuries as well.
Is that a dig at the front office to say if you had Adam Reynolds for another 2 years, you could be looking at another 2 years
one of
of
the
premiership.
biggest front office shockers I've ever seen because it's not like
And I don't even find Ilias that bad.
he's not. No, of course not. But
It's
you know what the
more-
problem is? Reynolds makes a difference on Cody Walker as well. Cody hasn't been playing. Even when Cody's been good, he hasn't been the Cody of old. However, what was it? 40-something try assists last year, line breaks.
Always going over as well. Yeah, no, I agree. I think it was a front office mistake,
It
and
was a shocker.
but it could have just been a Adam Reynolds mentor this young kid as he's coming up, and then he could slot in when he's injured. We know Adam Reynolds likes to get injured, so I just think
Likes to
very
get injured.
very big mistake from.
I don't think he
South.
likes to get injured,
But I
but
mean,
he does get injured. He's prone to an injury or two.
it could be someone's trash is another man's treasure, and
It always
Brisbane
is.
have picked them up, and Brisbane are looking like they're on the up in the years to come.
What's your tip for the South Cowboys game?
South Cowboys, I'm going to go South.
Me too.
I'm going to
Okay.
go South Sydney.
Last week, Bernard, our long shot to wrap it up.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do? You were
I went Canberra. to make the 8.
You did.
They just snuck in this week again.
well. I went Newcastle to beat him. Very close.
Yeah, very close,
So
very
we're knocking,
close.
We're knocking on the door. What's your long shot this week, Bernard?
Long shot this week, I'm just going to take, like I said, Melbourne, Souths
Okay.
to win.
Okay.
Melbourne and Souths to win. And then I'm just going to take Canberra to win the next 2 games on the trot. So Melbourne, Souths, Canberra, combine them together. Obviously not extremely juicy, but Melbourne, Souths, Canberra is my bet this week.
I'm going to go against you. Mine,
Roosters.
I'm going to add this up as we speak. I'm going to go Roosters 245. You get the chooks at. That is value, Bernard. I'm going to go Roosters into South. All up multi. $3.90 with a power play. I think that's long shot. worthy.
That's worthy. That's worthy. I guess we'll see. It's gonna be a good watch. More power to your Roosters. I hope they get there. If they just ice this off, it's done. That's
I'm
it.
looking forward
Free
to it.
road to the finals.
I'm looking forward to a great week. We've got 2 more weeks of the footy, then it's finals time. AFL's having a week off. We've chatted about everything this week, Bernard. And as always, guys, make sure you're following us on Instagram, on TikTok. I want to thank all you guys. You're the reason why we've been doing this for nearly 6 months. So all you day ones that have been listening to us every week, we love you guys. And thank you for listening to 3 parts of the B Team podcast this week. Bernard, what's on this weekend?
On this weekend, I'll be watching the Mighty Bulldogs. Keep an eye out because I've been taking some fresh faces of the Bulldogs
Can't wait.
for a tour of Belmore. So keep an eye out on socials. Me, Kyle Flanagan, Tavita Pangai, Aaron Shop. Just showing them how to do Belmore from a true Belmore boy.
Oh, I can't wait for that. Keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for all the stuff we do on our socials. Bernard, it's been an absolute pleasure as always, my friend. Have a good weekend, guys.
Take
Ciao.
it easy.